This is my cousin Giorgio.
Buongiorno.
I took him to the Olive Garden for an Italian feast.
Buonissimo.
Lasagna classico, salad and breadsticks, chicken parmesan, plus all the breadsticks you want.
Buongiorno.
Right away he wanted all the breadsticks. She thinks you're handsome. Breadsticks.
Hey, Pasta Nation. It's great to be back once again for another GardenCast. Love all the fan support, that's been coming through for the first many episodes. I'm Nolan. I've got Max here as well.
Hey guys, I'm Max. I'm here as well.
And very special guest today, and sort of an Italian expert. We brought him in to provide some insight and also some translation as well. His name's Chris from the comedy team 3GI. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, ciao, baby. What's going on? Glad to be here.
Fantastic, man. Hey, do you want to give our audience a bit of background into kind of your Italian experience?
I grew up eating a lot of meatballs. I went to Italy and I lived there for a little bit, and I just want to use myself as a resource for you guys to kind of dive into what pasta is all about to someone who has spent most of their life living it and continues to live it on a daily basis.
Fantastic. I think that's just what we're looking for, and I think our audience is going to love it. So with that said, let's dive right in.
This is my cousin Giorgio from Italy.
Buongiorno.
Word has it, he knows Italian food like nobody else. So, I took him to the Olive Garden for an Italian feast. Right away, he wanted a tour of Italy. 3 of the foods Italians love most.
Buonissimo.
Lasagna classico, chicken parmesan, and creamy fettuccine alfredo. Plus, all the salad and breadsticks you want, all for $9.95. That's Hospitaliano. You'll love how Italian our Italian is. She thinks you're handsome. The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family. This is my cousin Giorgio from Italy.
Buongiorno.
I'd say this guy knows Italy.
So, I took him to the Olive Garden for an Italian
It's like I'm back at a family reunion, really. Like they know family.
You feel that Italian spirit coming through.
I feel like I'm watching my own cousins.
I mean, that's family right there. Is what that is.
It's great. Oh, did you see that? I think like the best thing about this is the eyebrows
Oh,
yeah.
Good eyebrow.
of the cousin, because I don't know, when I lived in Italy, I noticed that there's a lot of emotion shown in the eyebrows, and I think this actor really captures that.
Really got into the
the
role.
motion of the eyebrows.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like he's not even acting. It's just he's just that Italian. It just really shines through.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed, but Italians are known to talk a lot with their hands.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think that was like a director, that was like a directorial decision that says, hey, like we can't have a lot of hands moving around, so can you use a different body part?
Let's go with the eyebrows. It was a good decision.
That's Hospitaliano. You'll love how Italian our Italian is.
One thing I like about this commercial is that he knows all about Italy. When he gets in to Olive Garden, right away he orders that tour of Italy.
Yeah, and let's just clear up any confusion. The tour of Italy is a nice dish of food. It's not it's not like, hey, my cousin Giorgio came over from Italy and he instantly wants a tour of it. He misses it so much. He misses his home country so much he wants to go back and get a tour of it.
Right.
Now the tour of Italy is the dish. And it looks delicious.
It does look delicious, It I mean it's clearly that's like it's like a tour. It's like a whole tour of the country of Italy right there on your plate.
It's got 3 of the foods that Italians love most.
I mean, what more could you want? It's the top 3.
Well, what I think is really interesting about the Olive Garden, we're talking about directorial processes, is think about the Italian flag, and then think about the colors that we see on that plate for the tour of Italy. I mean, we're getting that kind of like white yellow with the Alfredo sauce. We're getting the red from the pasta sauce. The green is the little basil on
It's
top and the
true.
broccoli. It's like the color scheme is really well thought out.
Yeah, definitely a lot of thought and energy was put into that aspect of the commercial and of the food.
You can tell they're really close cousins too, the way he hugs him in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right from the start, that's really established that these guys aren't just casual cousins.
Yeah,
They're
I
real
love
tight.
how they have that outdoor establishing shot. You know?
Absolutely.
Do you think that's the first time he saw him? Like his cousin was waiting there on the plane. Like he got off the plane, he's been waiting in that seat, and then our main character came over, and that's the first time he saw him. He gave him a round the back hug.
Yeah, I mean that would seem appropriate. He comes up, he kind of gives them a surprise hug, and then right away he says, "Hey, I know what you want. We're going to the Olive Garden. You know, no questions asked. Just jump right in."
Oh, okay. So I was thinking maybe they agreed to. He said, "Hey, do you want to go to the Olive Garden?" And then cousin Giorgio said yes, and that's when he gave him the hug.
Oh, I could see it from that angle.
Like, hey, let's do it, and he gives him a pat on the shoulder, like you're not gonna regret this.
Absolutely. And clearly he does not regret it. He's all in on it.
Yeah, we got a really important part coming up too, which kind of adds like a really cool aspect I haven't really seen in a lot of these other commercials. Is the waitress, look at the hand on the shoulder, how it kind of lingers.
Yeah, it does.
And we get I think she thinks you're handsome.
Mm-hmm.
And that look on his face, it's just kind of like, it's nice because you can tell he probably hasn't felt handsome in a long time. And he's in a different country and he's taking risks, and finally he goes and he gets this nice pasta meal. And someone maybe thinks he's handsome so much that his cousin's noticing. See, look at that hand placement.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like that last shot, his eyes, you can just tell in his eyes he's truly feeling happiness for the first time in a while.
I think there's really two shots of this guy's face where you can tell that he's just in like absolute bliss. And it's at the very end shot, and also when he's eating the pasta.
He just kind of looks up into the air. He's got that gaze where he's just
like totally absorbed,
overwhelmed with that authentic Italian flavor.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'd be more into the love interest with the waitress thing if he wasn't so engrossed in like the great culinary things occurring at that moment.
That's a good point. There's kind of that tension there between the waitress and the what's going on the plate down there.
Yeah, she's fighting for attention, and frankly, she's fighting a losing battle.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, you can kind of see at the end, he says, she thinks you're handsome, and he's thinking about it, he's considering it, but his mind's really on that food.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as that camera switched away, he was going for that other bite.
Absolutely.
I mean, he was still working on a bite when you got that face shot, so
he's had that taste fresh in his mouth.
Right.
And you can see, that's a nice Italian thing. When something's very yummy, you do make circles with your fork in the air. It kind of gets cut off by the camera, but you can kind of see him after he takes that bite. He swivels that fork around in the air.
Yeah, there is some definite fork action there.
Yeah, for sure. Very expressive.
Do you think that they were maybe like concerned about the safety of that when they were shooting it?
Yeah, do you think maybe they had to have some kind of stunt team on hand just to make sure everything went smoothly?
You don't want a fork just flying around the room,
It's true. Especially with all these talented actors around.
Right.
Also, the pasta shot, the lighting is really different. It's very steamy, very sensual. The coloring is different.
Right, it really is.
It's like when they wanted to show the consistency of their pasta. It's like they shot it in their in their bathtub or something. Their bathroom.
It's a very intimate shot, and the way they have the shadow that gets then the light comes on it. It's really dramatic.
Yeah, I wonder if that's foreshadowing. that intimate moment. I wonder if that's foreshadowing for the love that is about to be felt.
Yeah, the intimate moment with the pasta,
I definitely
followed by.
Definitely feel like there's a parallel there between the intimacy of the pasta and the intimacy of this potential relationship with
It's
the
a
waitress.
absolutely, it's a parallel, and it's also a tension. It's really can he have both? It seems like it looks like he's faced with a decision at the end of the commercial, and the commercial ends. What decision he makes, we don't know.
That's such a great decision on their part, because it leaves me hanging. It leaves me feeling like I have to go to Olive Garden. I got to figure out what happens next.
You got to live that experience for yourself, and being a man of Italian descent yourself, you can kind of have that. You can kind of go recreate that experience and get your own tour of Italy and see what it's really like.
I'll tell you, I've been on a tour of Italy, the country, and I'll tell you this: it didn't cost $9.95. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, definitely not, man. I mean, it's hard to beat prices like that. I'll tell you.
Dude, I just am really surprised, because I get to a new place. I'm greeted with love from my family. I'm greeted with nice wine, good food, good lighting, and now I'm feeling attracted for the first time in a while by a pretty waitress. I don't know how he's not screaming.
Inside, I'm sure it's tough to contain those emotions.
He's doing a good job too. I'm sure the actor is really excited himself, to be playing that role.
Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting role, to have that much going for you in the span of about 30 seconds is really quite the thrill.
I like the use of Italian words. We get a buongiorno in the beginning, and the head nod forward as he says the word is really important to communicate good morning, but not just good morning. Good morning with a head nod means top of the morning.
It takes it to another level, absolutely.
It does. He's excited for what's to come.
And he certainly should be, as we see from the rest of the commercial.
This is my cousin Giorgio from Italy.
It's beautiful. Look at that French. They're like brothers.
They are. They're so close. They're closer than cousins. That is so true.
Oh, and he gives him the bellissimo. He gives him the bellissimo. Bello and bella, of course, means beautiful. But you want to put a little extra spin, a little extra pizzazz. You give it the isimo at the end. So, you don't use that lightly. He's not screwing around.
Of course not. He's serious.
He really likes that meal and what's going on there.
This is some serious pasta there.
And when we get the hand shots here of the broccoli and then the breadstick coming out, do you think that's the same person, kind of dual wielding there, getting the broccoli and the breadstick? Do you think that's two different people?
I mean, I could, knowing the Olive Garden, I could see a sort of a dual wield situation going on. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
Right.
But it looks like it was just brought out, set on the table. So what you're thinking in your mind? Okay, got to get this stuff on my plate so I can start eating it. What do I go first? The veggies? Mom always told me eat my veggies first, but those breadsticks, there's no competing. So, you compromise, you take them both at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got two hands, you might as well go for it.
Well, whoever they have for the breadstick shot, definitely a great hand model. Those are some really good hands going for those breadsticks.
This hands is another theme I see in this one. There's hands spinning, waving on shoulders. Hands on shoulders seems to be a
Yeah, you've got the hand on the shoulder from the cousin as well at the beginning, and then the waitress at the end. A lot of that sort of contact in the shoulder area.
I love the saxophone, kind of just giving us that nice little bop down there.
Yeah, I wanted to mention
keeps the mood light.
The background music is really exceptional in this one. I love the vocalizations that they've got going on there, just to really add some authenticity to this whole experience.
Very true, very true. It feels like you're there.
Oh, guys, I think I noticed something I really would like your opinion on. After our main character says, I think she thinks you're handsome, and we get that close-up of Cousin Giorgio, I hear a woman laugh in the background. Can you guys confirm that for me? It's coming up here.
Coming up.
That's Hospitaliano. You'll love how Italian our Italian is.
Let me know if you hear that woman.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
It's definitely
Distinctive.
Okay, now let's talk about this. Is she laughing because, you know, it's like a giggle thing, like, oh, like, we can tell she thinks he's handsome? Is it like another waitress, her friend? She sees like the hand on the shoulders? Or are they laughing because maybe she doesn't think she's handsome?
Those are some really good questions, but we have to also take into consideration that there's at least like 2 other times where there seems to be like very similar laughter in the background. It could be the same person, just like at a table next to them. Maybe they're having their own great conversation with their family.
Right, yeah.
Or maybe
they're
they
probably
are overhearing what's going on over there.
You're right. I'm overthinking it because they're probably looking at the menu and they're seeing the great prices and they're laughing.
Yeah, they can't believe how great these prices are.
This isn't even taking a fraction out of my tax return, they're saying.
Of course.
I mean, $9.95 for the 3 best Italian foods. Like, you're not going to get that anywhere else.
Look at that. Look at the layers.
It's all about the layers. You know, there's layers to the food, there's layers to the commercial, there's, layers to the storyline. There's just all kinds of layers
It's
going
very
on.
layered.
Layers to the music. You know, it's just, the layers don't stop.
Well, I'll hit you guys with an interesting fact. There's no such thing as fettuccine, really, in Italy.
Oh, yeah?
So, Cousin Giorgio's getting here, and he says, oh my gosh, I'm learning about my own culture here in America at the Olive Garden. He's probably pretty shocked.
Wow.
To see that fettuccine Alfredo coming out there. Probably didn't expect that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you can tell he didn't expect that.
It's more than he bargained for, I'd say.
And you know, us Italians, we love our red wine, so it's great that they serve, you know, they saw the Italian guy coming, so they said, alright, get all the bottles of red wine, put them in the biggest flower vase you have,
I
because
love
these
how
guys
they
are going
had
to
it
drink a lot.
in that vessel. It's just
Absolutely. You know, some of the commercials we've seen, it's been a little ambiguous on the drinks, but in this one, it's clear exactly what they're going
Definitely red
for.
wine.
They got the red wine front and center in this one. And for good reason.
Yeah, well, that kind of brings me to my next point here of Olive Garden being this kind of like perfect embodiment of culture and family. It's like, let's break this down for a second. Let's talk about the name, Olive Garden. Okay, in a world where GMOs rule and mass farming and stuff, where's the only fresh place we can get food nowadays? Is if you grow it in your own garden, right?
Right, very true, very true.
Right. So by calling your establishment an Olive Garden, you know, and olives being a huge staple in Mediterranean cuisine, you know, we got the olive oil, and really makes a difference with the breadsticks and the cooking and the pasta. It kind of seems like, you know, who runs gardens? Oh, little old Italian couples. I like to think that every Olive Garden is owned by a little old Italian couple with a nice little garden in their backyard. Every morning they get up and they pick the grapes and the olives that are going to be used in their Olive Garden for the day.
Very true. And hey, I don't want to read too much into this, but you do notice that opening shot, it's outside. Could it possibly be in a garden setting? Maybe that's going too far.
Well, maybe they know the owners.
They could, and they're hanging out in their own private garden.
Oh, your cousin Giorgio's coming over from Italy? Why don't we sit in the garden for a little while? And when it gets too hot out, we'll go inside and we'll have a nice meal.
I mean, I could see it, you know.
I mean, when you take tours of vineyards and stuff, you walk around, you see the grapes that you're about to consume in wine form.
Absolutely.
So
I mean,
why not go outside and check out the olive trees,
For sure.
and the grapevines, and the lasagna plants?
Yeah, I mean, you go out there, you take the tour of the garden, and then you go inside and you get the tour of Italy.
Yeah, you get the look of the garden and the taste of the garden.
You get them both, and just the feel of the garden, really.
Also, like, come on, you're juggling tomato sauce around all day, and look at that waitress's white shirt, spotless,
Spotless, yeah.
beautiful. I mean, she doesn't spill red
Right.
wine. You don't have to worry about a waiter or waitress making a mistake on your table.
You know she's professional.
Yeah. Oh, it's like an art for them. You know.
It really is. It really is.
Oh, they say right away he wanted the tour of Italy.
Yeah, he knew. He knew what he
No
wanted.
hesitation.
Whoa. Okay. So, do you think that was the first thing on the menu, and he read it, and he's like, I like to think, in the tour of Italy, it's great, but maybe it was the first thing on the menu, and he's like, I can't read on. When you get to a place and everything's so good, you just got to go down the list every time you go there.
Right.
So maybe that tour of Italy was the first thing he saw, and he read it, and he said, "Speak no more. I know. I got to have that tour of Italy."
Right. The tour of Italy it speaks to him.
And once he sees that $9.95 price point, that just seals the deal right there.
Yeah. Well, we kind of know, like, money's tight in this economy, and he just spent a lot of money on a plane ticket.
Exactly.
So they get there, they meet in the garden. He says, "Hey, you're finally in America. What do you want to eat?" "Oh, let's go for Italian food. Let's make you feel at home on your first day in America."
Of course, of course.
Yeah, he's never had a burger before, but there'll be time for that.
There will be
You
time
gotta
for
ease
that.
in.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the great things about Olive Garden. It can really bridge the gap between the cultural divides that people can experience.
I love the head snaps when the food comes. It's like they're shocked.
Well, it's just such a stunning food,
Absolutely. I mean, he didn't see that coming.
It's like art, I mean, I'm so surprised that these actors can contain when they have to eat it, because to me that would be the biggest decision. Is like, do I eat this?
Right.
Like, do I ruin it by consuming it because it looks so beautiful?
I think probably getting the experience of being able to eat the food is probably one of the big reasons why people want to be on these commercials.
Yeah, they probably take that into consideration when they decide the payroll.
And you gotta be sure that they're actually using real Olive Garden food when they do this, because if they weren't, you wouldn't get those amazing reaction shots.
It wouldn't be authentic, exactly. You wouldn't get the authentic reaction.
Like, I can just tell that the shot where he's like reacting to how great the pasta is and twirling his fork around, that just feels like a notch more authentic than the reaction to being told that the waitress finds him attractive.
True.
And I'm not saying that his acting is bad in any means. He's great acting all around, but it's just the shot where he's reacting to the food, that's not even acting.
It's just so natural. They probably didn't even tell him to twirl that fork. He probably just did it. He just couldn't help himself.
Yeah, sometimes when your taste buds are going on a sweet voyage, you just gotta wave your limbs.
For sure.
It doesn't matter what culture you're in. You gotta wave him. Hey, do you think he turned down the role for Godfather 2 for this? Because he looks like a real paisan. He looks like one of those real Italian-American or Italian actors.
I could see that, and I could definitely see, Godfather 2, maybe a great movie, doesn't have the same quality cuisine.
Right.
Oh, it doesn't have the same food,
Absolutely. So I could completely understand that decision.
Especially because that wine just keeps coming.
It just keeps coming,
It's such a family establishment. They don't like to talk about the alcohol benefits of being at an Olive Garden, but listen, you want to talk about nice food and wine pairings? Like, come on, red wine's gonna wash down that chicken parmesan real good.
Oh yeah.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. You even see the wine in that shot. There's multiple shots of the wine from different angles in this commercial. It's definitely a key part of this meal.
Absolutely. Well, and it's authentic too.
Of course.
What Italian's gonna sit down for an Italian meal and not get a nice glass of red wine served in a customary giant flower vase?
Of course.
Right.
And that just brings us back to the garden element. You know, where do gardens grow?
Yes.
I mean, where do flowers grow? Gardens.
Exactly.
So I'm getting like a little like flustered because I'm just watching that steam rise from that pasta.
It's a really emotional shot.
Hard to contain yourself. Absolutely.
I had to wipe away tears because I feel like I'm back.
You feel like you're there. I mean, it's almost like a virtual reality kind of experience when you see that steam coming right at you. It's almost coming out of the screen.
That's good. I mean, and when he's chewing, he doesn't have that much food in his mouth, which I'm shocked because if I was there, even if it was a commercial setting, I was there as a professional, I wouldn't be able to contain myself. I'd try to fit as much of that delicious food in my mouth at once as possible.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some of the footage from the cutting room floor on this one. If there's just minutes and minutes of these actors just going at that food.
Right.
And it was all the editors could do to just try and chop it down to these 30 seconds that we see here. But I'm sure there was some serious dining going on set.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that they chose this segment of the meal, kind of the initial, the initial ordering and the initial food arriving, the initial first bites. And it kind of leaves me wondering what happens when the check rolled around. Like, when the check rolled around, was Giorgio a different man? Like, had he kind of discovered himself? Has he discovered he can feel love again? He knows what love feels like now.
Well, I really feel like it works really well by doing that because it just gives you this whole sense of hope when you leave this commercial.
It really leaves you saying, when you get to the end of the commercial, you're thinking, what happens next? And then you realize the only way I can find out what happens next is to go to Olive Garden.
Yeah, because we all know we can go to Olive Garden, we can get food, and we can be treated like family. But it's never really been hinted at us that we're gonna find love. And now that that's an option, like, cancel your subscriptions to OkCupid, because I'm pretty sure every Olive Garden out there has a little bit of love for everyone.
There's definitely a lot of love in Olive Garden, but before we jump to that conclusion, we should probably contemplate the fact that when you're there, you're family. So maybe this is a sort of love that can't really come to fruition.
Okay. So she thinks you're handsome, like a mother would think her son is handsome.
It's true, but we could also be talking about starting a new family.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So is it kind of this, like, maternal love that she feels towards Giorgio? She says, like, oh yeah, that, like, he's a handsome guy and I love him like a son. I'm feeding him, I love him like a son, or I love him and I want to have a son with him.
Right. I was on the other side, on the motherly side of things, but now I'm thinking it's more the latter.
I want to give him pasta and I want to give him a son.
Right, because this whole commercial is about beginnings here, and that's why it makes sense that this budding relationship would be shown here. It's the beginning of a new family, an extension to the family.
I like to think that after the camera went down, she whispered in his ear something along the lines of, you give me a $9.95 tip and you can take the tour of my place. Maybe that's a little too saucy for an Olive Garden commercial, but
I could imagine that happening.
I mean, I could see it. It might be too saucy to happen on camera, but I could see it happen
behind the scenes.
Yeah, but as the audience, you feel it. You know that's what's happening, so it kind of goes without saying. Maybe.
I think it does go without saying. It's hinted at, and that's and that's enough.
Bellissimo, like that. And they say Hospitalia Italiano, you know, like
Right.
the hospitable Italian place. It's kind of like a made up thing, not really a word. But that just goes to show how innovative they are.
Right, and it really
You know,
works
why
well.
why say two different bland American words when you can just mix them and put ano at the end, and all of a sudden it's authentic Italian.
Right, it really elevates the whole viewing experience.
I mean,
Absolutely.
they're creating a language. What other franchise can serve great food, give you love, treat you like family, create a language, and avoid the modern disasters of GMOs?
See, Olive Garden is basically the Shakespeare of modern times.
Why do you say that?
Well, Shakespeare created all these silly words that now we use all the time, and that's what they're doing here.
It's true. I mean, it's really become an American tradition and an Italian tradition as well. It's just a part of our national and international culture.
Right, and the way they take these cultures and they combine them and they synthesize something completely new from the combination of these cultures, it's just really, it's extraordinary.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Oh man, that look that that the waitress gives him, that's love. I'm sorry, it can't be like a family thing. She wants to start a family. That's really love.
You know, I really have to agree with you.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
love. She says she would like nothing more than to just be covered in sauce with him, eating sauce.
Things are gonna get saucy.
Definitely gonna get saucy. If there's one thing we know for sure, there's some serious sauce.
We might not know exactly what happens
on the
after this
way.
commercial closes, but we know that things get saucy.
Yeah, you know, we're coming through the last loop. I mean, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface on this commercial.
I feel like this was a Bellissimo commercial. I feel handsome, and I'm really glad to be family.
Absolutely, and you know, it's definitely getting saucy. I'll tell you that.
It's really getting saucy.
Wow. Hey, you know, we came to the end of those loops. I feel like we really got into some very interesting perspectives on today's commercial. Chris, we want to thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you guys, and I'm happy to be part of the family, and I just feel so good. That's like therapy, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel refreshed. I feel saucy. I feel spicy. I feel bellissimo.
It really opens your mind to the whole pasta sphere.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it's all about. And you know, Chris, you're part of a kind of a web team out there known as 3GI, and we got some of the boys from 3GI put together this little video message for us, and we're calling it the Olive Blast, and we think we're gonna go check that out right now. So let's see what they're up to.
Let's do it.
Giorgio, how'd you like the meal?
It's me, Mario. Mucho.
English, Giorgio, we talked about this.
It means I dip my breadstick sauce.
Giorgio, are you telling me you had 3 entrees and the waitress for dessert? What's your secret?
It's all in the eyebrows.
Oh man, that is a great blast. I know we've had a blast from these guys. They blasted their way in here before, but this blast just blew my socks off.
Yeah, what'd you think of that blast, Chris?
I felt like I was watching my family do what they do best, blast, and it made me want to blast off into the stars.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, you know, I think it's time that we blast off into the stars and kind of into the Olive Garden universe. So we'll leave you with that, and we'll also leave you with some fresh fan art. So let's take a look at that right now, and everyone have a great week.
Bellissimo.